Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Elevation Association Experience. I am your host, Dr. Dan Nelson, and I am excited about today's episode. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. We've got a absolute baller expert on the show today. We have Paul Lowery from Dental Menu. He's going to be talking to us about, you can call them whatever you want. You can call them membership plans, patient benefit plans, however you want to shape it, call it, give it the identity. It's all synonyms. So, Paul, awesome to have you on the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you're with and what you're doing?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So I'm a co-founder of Dental Menu. We help offices run their own in-house plans, in-house benefits plans, like you say, membership plans, lots of names for them. We mainly started this. I was doing marketing for years for dental practices and just seeing the retention rate and things that were going on and a lot of the problems with uninsured patients not really sticking to practices. A lot of practices were running their own plans, and so we were trying to fix the back door so that as the marketing was bringing patients in, they weren't just flowing right through the practice. And we ended up seeing a big need for some different things in helping offices integrate with their practice management softwares, getting their teams behind a whole bunch of things, and really making the membership plan not just a little sideshow, but a real part of their practice. So we ended up building the software and starting Dental Menu. So here we are.
Nice. It's become a lot more popular in the last few years. I think especially because we're seeing such a trend in movement away from being in network. You see, because I think, I mean, you address that you're like, oh, there's a lot of people that are uninsured. But I think nowadays, especially, like with us in our practice, to be under multiple, we're only with Delta and just being under that umbrella is crippling in some ways on multiple levels. I've talked about this on multiple podcasts now. I'm being a guest on other podcasts and co-hosting and our own podcast, and that the overhead that we're seeing, the increase in overhead and the cost of doing business, the reimbursement rates for insurance is not keeping up, not even close to
Yeah.
keeping up, and we haven't seen any significant increases from some of the biggest, players in the insurance game since 2004. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's something that's pretty well known. Go Google it. It's not any big secret. And then the crazy thing is on the patient side, and you know all about this, Paul, is that this is buck wild to me, that the model of $1,500, $1,000 benefit, which is not a bit, it's a freaking coupon. I call it that all the time because that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The coupon that you get, this $1,000 coupon that you get, $1,000 off dental treatment, that originated in the 60s. The
Yeah.
60s.
They
So
haven't increased it.
yeah, 60 years ago, and it's the same benefit that we're getting today. They haven't changed at all. And that's why they're clearing 5 to 6 billion dollars in revenue. That's their profit in the industry per year. 5 to 6 billion dollars. So that's insane, right? I mean, I've kind of setting this up, but I have to ask you the question. I really want to get your take on this. Why does an office need to have a membership plan? Like, as they're looking at it, and we talk about all this, but from your perspective and your expertise, why does an office need to have a membership plan?
Yeah. So one, I mean, we're talking about insurance. One of the things that does drive me nuts a little bit in the industry with dental practices, dentists, is that there's a lot of complaining about the insurance, and it always goes to reimbursements, and it always goes to, hey, I should be getting paid more. And you've got to, I'm not, I don't like insurance. It's a crock of crap, like you're saying, but let's put on the hat of an insurance exec. They have a product, they've packaged your guys' services really, but they've packaged it into a product that they're selling businesses. So in order for them to increase your reimbursements, what does that really mean for them as a company? It means they either make less of a profit, which their shareholders aren't going to be happy, or they've got to raise their price to their end customer, which is the business. They don't give a crap about you guys. They want to make money and they want to keep their prices low. So to go just constantly say, hey, we're just going to bitch and moan until we're red in the face that they need to pay us more is not the right approach. If you just take the emotion out of it, just Don't be a dentist for a minute and just think as a business guy. And it's the same thing as me as a patient. If I come in and I constantly say, "Hey, Dan, lower your fees. I can't afford them. Hey, Dan, you know what? You're making way too much money. Dan, I saw you just went to Africa again and you just went to Utah and you just bought a new mountain bike and you have a nice car and you have a really big house. You're making 200. Do you know how much money Dr. Nilsson brings home? He brings home whatever it is. Like, that's essentially the same argument. If your patients are constantly saying, well, you're going to push back and say, like, hey, look, let the market dictate. If my services aren't worth this, then I guess you can go wherever you want. And so that's the challenge I have with dentists is it imagine your patients beating you up every single time they come in that you need to lower your fees. That's a dumb argument. Like, we don't go do that. We don't go into Nordstrom and just bitch and moan that their prices are too high. We might go to Walmart, right? We might change our tactic of where we're going to go. So just complaining about insurance and how much money they make and they need to increase their reimbursements isn't going to do anything because they don't want to raise their fees and they don't want to give up their profits essentially. So you've got to change your tactics a little bit. And membership plan is one of those. There's several different things you can do. But the number one reason you need to have a membership plan is the retention rate. We looked at 250,000 new patients, Dan, when I was doing this marketing. We looked at their first visit date into the practice, almost like their birth date, right? Hey, your first visit date into the practice. And then 5 years later, we came back to that same subset of patients and we said, hey, how many of them are still active in the practice? So the patients that had dental insurance 5 years later, how many of them do you think were still coming back to the dentist for their exams, cleanings, x-rays? What percentage would you guess? Put you on the spot.
Based on with no no
That
no
have dental,
membership
that have
plan,
dental
just
insurance, the ones that have dental insurance, how many came back? We're still active in the practice 5 years later.
5 years later, I would say it's probably 60%.
Wow, 64%. This is what a good guess.
I'm cheating. We just did a podcast on this last week, so I
Oh,
actually need
did you?
yeah, I was
Nice.
cheating.
What about the uninsured patients?
That I don't know.
So this was our own studies. This is our own data with our own clients. This wasn't just some stat that we pulled out of our butts. Only 12% of the patients without dental insurance were still active. And almost it was over 80% of the practices that we did this study on were running their own plan, their own membership plan. That was the shocker. And so the reason that you need a membership plan obviously is to shore that up because the example I like to use, if you think of a hunter, so how does a hunter get his food? He chases after some animal, he makes a kill, he gets this big, huge animal to eat, right? And he's really excited because he's got all this meat. Once he processes that, what does he have to do? He's got to go back out and hunt. And if the herd moves, he's got to pick up and move. He's got to keep hunting. And it's never ending. He's just constantly having to make the kill, process, eat, repeat. And that's what we see with cash pay patients. It's a hunt. You guys are spending money on marketing. People are in pain. They need issues. They come in. Guess what happens when they come in? Big treatment case. And guess what? You don't write any off. So guess what? You think like, this is amazing. If I could get 4 more of those cases, right? So it becomes this chase where you're paying the marketing to get the patients through to do the treatment. But guess what happens to those patients? They go back out the back door. They don't come back. And so what do? You keep hunting. When he got tired of hunting, this hunter, he said, you know what? This is stupid. I'm going to be a farmer. So what did he do? He built a fence around his herd. And he planted corn, he planted peaches, and he did some different activities, and they had natural harvest. So he stopped chasing, and he said, this is dumb. I want to eat cows, but I'm tired of chasing elk all the time or whatever he's hunting. And so he had natural harvest at right times. Your hygiene department is kind of like your farm. So the patients that come through hygiene on a regular basis, they pre-appoint, they come back, they pre-appoint, they come back. What happens to their teeth eventually? Like, they're going to break down. They're going to need treatment. So what's interesting is if you look at somebody's practice that's in network, their hygiene department or their farm, so to speak, it's 85, 90, 95% filled with PPO in-network patients. And then they've got this little side thing over here with their cash pay that they're just churning and burning like a hamster on a wheel. And they wonder why they can't get out of the insurance quagmire. But you can't even fit uninsured patients into your hygiene department. And light bulb, guys, your reimbursement for PPOs aren't even covering your hour of hygiene a lot of times. So you're running this loss leader in hygiene or a break even to now do treatment at a 40% write-off. So I hear complaining all the time, I want to eat beef. And it's like, well, your practice is full of pigs. So if you want to eat beef or you want to harvest uninsured, you better change this farm a little bit. And that's why you need a membership plan. You don't have a good product to offer patients without dental insurance. You don't. You have a crappy one that doesn't make sense and is not clear. So that's a long-winded answer, but I like that analogy of the farming. You got to get your farm going with your uninsured patients if you're really going to change anything.
Totally. I mean, we've had uh, we track all of this data, and we encourage we track this data for our clients and our members, you know, and we encourage everybody to be tracking this type of data. I love that you brought up the fact that, like, under the insurance umbrella, you're writing off. You probably are right. You're not making enough on a prophy appointment to even cover your overhead. And that turns into a loss leader, you know, and I always encourage people to look at your insurance, what your write-offs are, and then move that into the marketing budget and see what you're actually spending. Cause that's all it is. Cause their promise is like, we're going to bring patients to you. Well, that's what a marketing company does. So they're not really doing anything other than what a marketing company does. And so once you look at it that way, and then you start to see the actual impact of your pay of the cost. And we did this really cool analysis, Paul, that I think you would love. And what we did is we took, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'll quiz you. You may not know this,
Okay.
but we took cash patients, we took insurance patients, and we took patient membership patients, and we looked at the annual patient value, and we compared them across. Out of those three, which would you say has the lowest annual patient value?
So are you in Sun Valley?
Yeah, well, yeah, this isn't just here, but we can use our practice as an example. Sure,
Okay.
yeah, we'll just
I
say
mean,
just
obviously, insurance patients would be, I don't know, maybe it was, maybe,
yep. No, insurance by far. It was by far the lowest.
yeah.
What surprised me was that I thought for sure the cash patient would be the highest annual patient value.
Yeah.
It was actually the patient benefit or member plan patients, whatever you want to call it. We call it the patient benefit plan in our office, so I'm going to call it that. But the patient benefit plan member, their annual patient value is double what an insurance patient was, and cash is about in the middle. So that's a crazy thing to think. And there's really kind of a mental hurdle there, don't you think? That people are like, well, why would I give my cash payers a discount because they're paying full price for things? Well, if annual patient value is higher,
Yeah.
your cash patient, there's your answer. There's why you would. And then I love that you said, you know, also retention. How about retention? How about building your patient base so you can get rid of some of your insurances? So now you have a controlled write-off, plus you're getting a passive income, you know, passive revenue, which is huge for dentistry because we don't have a way to do that typically, right? So that's a massive deal. So with that in mind, Paul, what different types of patient membership plans are available? Like what are the options to an office? What can they offer?
Yeah, so you brought up, and that's one thing that especially if people are out of network, one of the things that they always say is like, well, hey, I don't want to give 10% or 15% off. Like they think, like you're saying, like, why would I discount? There's really two ways to structure your membership plan. One is a discount style plan, one is a membership plan. Discount style plans, I like to think of like a coupon or a Groupon. So if you want to go skydiving, we're going to find the best deal possible. We're going to buy a Groupon. We're going to find some 2-for-1 or whatever. We're going to go one time to that activity and then we're done. Versus a membership plan is more like Netflix or a gym membership. So if you think of Netflix, they don't call you every year and say, did you like our content? Do you want to renew for another year? And if you do, we're going to finance it monthly. That's not what they do. They just charge you every month. You have access to the content. Gym membership, you don't go today, you can go tomorrow, you can go Saturday, but it's not like you get vouchers and if you don't use them, you get a refund. And so the problem is a lot of people sell an annual plan, something like 2 cleanings, 2 exams, set of x-rays for $500, but they sell it really heavily on the discount. So patient comes in, you got a big treatment plan, we're going to give you 20% off. That's going to help them accept treatment. But what we find with those is they don't renew day 366. You know, patients wait to renew those. They buy your set of services for a year and then they lapse for 6 months and then they buy it when they come back again. If you ask your front desk, like, hey, tell me how your renewal process work. Well, it works really good. Everybody buys it. And it's like, all right, if we decide to go to dinner, we look on our phone, we see some good reviews, we decide we're going to try out a place. We go into that place, we're sitting at the restaurant, the matron comes to us and is like, hey, just so you guys know, if you scan this QR code and pay us $5 for our frequent diner thing, it's $5 a year, you're going to get 50% off your meal or whatever. We're already in the place of business, so it's nice because we might order more food, but it's a treatment acceptance tool. But if you sell a continuity program, like a gym membership or Netflix, and you sell access to services at intervals, and you don't make the patient make a buying decision every year, they're going to stay on it a lot longer, and you're going to make breakage like what an insurance company makes. And what I mean by that is people don't come in at 180 days for their cleanings. They move stuff around all the time. Hey, my son's got a soccer game. I got to move my cleaning out. All right, when do you need it? Well, I need it Tuesday at 9. Well, my next Tuesday at 9 is not till July 5th. That's fine. I'll come in. Well, you're still getting paid, right? You get paid in May, you get paid in June, you get paid in July. You see them, and then you just pre-appoint them out 6 more months. Suddenly you made 9 payments for that cleaning instead of 6. But you don't, there is no renewal period of time. That's what we've seen work the best, is just setting it up, giving them access to care and letting it run versus like, hey, I'm going to give you 10% off. That's a little bit harder. That being said, if people get a discount, they're going to spend more, they're going to accept more treatment. And at the end of the day, you are going to be ahead of the game, kind of like you were saying. But I would structure a continuity, a real membership plan, not just a discount style plan.
So what would you recommend be included in a continuity plan?
So it's the same thing. It may not sound different, but instead of 2 cleanings a year, 2 exams a year, a set of x-rays, it's access to a cleaning every 6 months. It's not a guaranteed 2 per year. It's access to a cleaning, access to x-rays, and so forth. That way you capture, you don't get them coming in month 14. Hey, I didn't get my second cleaning. Well, sorry, you didn't renew and you didn't use it. And then they're kind of upset. You just sell that access to care. Our guys do a lot of add-ons as well. So, I mean, the sky's the limit depending on what you want to do. You could add whitening, you could have fluoride, you could have Botox. Like, you can sell any service that they need things at intervals, you can kind of wrap up into a subscription. So depending on what you guys have, what products you have, why not have it as an upgrade? So most of our offices have like a couple of upgrade paths. So the base plan gives you access to a cleaning every 6 months, exams every 6 months, some x-rays. But our Premier members, they get any and all needed x-rays, including panel 3D. They get fluoride, they get nitrous, they get whitening gel. It's another $15 a month. And so some of those guys bump up. But again, it's more semantics. But when you sell access to care, you get the breakage. That's what insurance does. Think of what they sell. They don't sell vouchers for certain things. They don't sell a bundle of services. They sell quote unquote insurance, which is not. But it's this whole idea of this prepaid benefit, and if you don't use it, you kind of lose it, type of a thing. And that's the way you should set your plan up, because you'll make more money. But more importantly, take away the buying decision from the patient, that they have to make an annual buying decision every year. Me and my wife and a couple of kids, I got to make a $1,500 buying decision every year. Well, again, I'll do it, but we've looked at a lot of the numbers. I buy it for a year and then I don't renew until I come back at 18 months. So there's like 6 months where those patients don't have the membership plan, and you're not getting any revenue from that.
So is there a problem with setting up an auto renewal? Like, say you want to go. So there's a couple of problems that immediately jump to my mind. So you're recommending that they go monthly, right? Do a monthly type.
Not necessarily. We love the monthlies because they stay on them longer and you make breakage. I like letting patients pay how they want. Some people don't like monthlies, so I'd let them do annual. If you're going to do monthlies, what we usually recommend is doing a one-time enrollment fee, so that you kind of, like, let's say your plan's $350, right? And so if you're doing monthlies, one of the things that always comes up is, oh, what happens if they get all their services and they cancel the next month and I
Right.
only got $35 and I'm really, really worried about it. So a couple things. One is, like, our company charges, we're a SaaS company. Most of these companies that dentists buy stuff from, they're all SaaS companies. And we don't win on every single customer. Like, if we charge upfront to all of our doctors, we wouldn't get a lot of doctors paying. So you got to realize from a business standpoint, can I make more money on 95% of my patients, even if I have 2 or 3% that aren't good? We're seeing about 4 out of 100 that bounce like before their contract's up. But the second thing you do, Dan, if you're going to offer monthlies, is having a one-time enrollment fee somewhere in the 99 bucks, 149, whatever you need to cover the first set of exam cleaning x-rays. It's no different than saying your plan's 350. Well, you're getting 175 bucks for that first set of services, right? I mean, you're getting half of that. So if you do that as an enrollment fee, you take care of that first set of services. Now, when you're putting them on monthlies, they're basically prepaying you for the next set of services and you're not in arrears. But if they come in late, you're getting extra revenue. You can charge more, you can raise your prices more, and people are more apt to stay on it. Then that lump sum is nice from an accounting standpoint. And it's nice because you get all your money up front. But I don't know, yours is like it. I don't even know if you do monthly or annual, but we just see there's always this lapse. So you can auto renew them, and we auto renew everything. But we get a lot of calls when that auto renew happens, especially if there's 2 or more patients. The office gets a call, and it usually goes something like, "Hey, we love the program. We just got charged 1,200 bucks. We're not quite ready yet. We want to renew and stuff, but like we'll renew next time we come in." And like they don't want to buy it until they're ready to kind of do it. And so we've just seen that, and we've got a 6-month option where I auto charge them every 6 months. That renews better than the annual as well because it's just not such a big amount. So it's up to you how you want to run it. But if you are doing monthlies, highly recommend doing an enrollment fee. So just think of it this way. I'll pay you today for my exam cleaning x-rays, and then I'm going to prepay you 35 bucks a month for 6 months. So then when I come in, I don't have to come up with any money. Well, that works great for you guys in terms of money wise, but it's better for the patient because now they're budgeting for that preventive care. There's a reason most membership plans, if you look at them, like most of them are monthly. They're not annual because they run longer that way. It's a set it, forget it kind of a thing. Like, how many subscriptions are you on as a dentist where you're like, holy crap, like 35 bucks a month? Like it just adds up and it just runs.
Well, yeah, and there's two sides to that coin because when it's a smaller dollar amount coming out every month, that's less impactful. That's how Netflix gets you, right? Like you're like, I remember when I signed up for Netflix, it was $7 a month, and now I'm paying like 40 something. I don't even know what I pay. Exactly my point. I don't even know what I pay anymore because it's a monthly thing, and I'm just like, well, whatever. I use it, so it's fine.
But
But
if you got dinged for 600 bucks,
yeah,
or even worse, somebody called you and said, "Hey, Dan, do you want to renew your Netflix? How much does it cost?" Well, we raised our fees. Now it's 600 bucks. It's like, no, I don't want to. And that's kind of what happens, if you don't auto renew, is it's like, I'm not going to renew until you guys have a really good show I want to watch. Then I'll
right.
buy.
Yeah, so I mean, and I think so that's one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, and in our office, we've dealt how to deal with this is the disappearing card canceling patient, right? And ours was definitely higher than 4%, where we had to shift. So you asked, you're not sure. We actually do. And the point of what I'm about to say is not do as what I do, because we do annual, because we live in a transient community where people bolt and they just cancel, which is a lot of freaking work, by the way, to go and cancel all the cards that you have subscriptions on. Like, to be dishonest, if people would just be honest and put the same effort in being like hardworking and honest, they would make way more money trying to screw people over. But so for us, and my point in bringing that up is that you need to know what's going to fit your office, right? What's going to fit your structure. And but I also wanted to ask you, Paul, that like what is the conversation that you coach a front office or whoever's taking that phone call? How do you coach them through the discussion of either putting them on the subscription or when they hit the renewal date? What would you say to someone that's coming to you from an office and saying, all right, Paul, we're going to set it up on a monthly with a renewal. We're going to do it annually with renewal. And yeah, we've had those phone calls where they call and are like, we're just going to put it off for 6 months. How do you coach a front desk or an office manager through that?
Yeah. So good question. And I like what you're saying, because some of our guys only do annual. Some of them do a semi-annual and an annual. Most of them do monthly. I'm a big proponent on letting patients pay how they want, because then you're going to let them stay on longer. And again, though, that enrollment fee is what you want to do. So there's a couple things we do. One is we have a rewards program. So when a patient gets a cleaning on the plan, they actually earn 25, or you can do 50 or 100, whatever you want to do. But they earn rewards towards treatment that's needed in the future as long as their plan stays active. So if they cancel their plan or it lapses for 6 months and they've got $50 of rewards, those go away. And so that's one thing that's kind of painful, is like, well, if you do like us and you really are just trying to go off it for 3, 4, 5 months and you lose your reward account balance, like, that kind of hurts. And then again, with the enrollment fee, if they have to repay the enrollment fee, if you're doing monthlies, the conversation is like, hey, Dan, we've got this great plan. Here's how it works. We love our patients without insurance. We got a couple options for you. You can pay for your exam cleaning x-rays today. It's $282 or whatever your UCRs are. But really the best value, what you can do is you can sign up for our membership plan. It's a one-time enrollment fee of $149 plus your first month, which is $32. So you're $182 today. So you're saving $100 right there. That'll give you your exam cleaning x-rays today. And then what you're going to do is we have a 6-month agreement. So we want you to try this out for 6 months. You're going to keep paying each month. We're going to pre-appoint you. You're going to come back in, get your second set of services. You're going to earn your rewards, all that kind of stuff. If you don't think it's worth it after that 6 months, you can go ahead and cancel, but we really think you're going to like it. They come back in 6 months, they get their second set of services, they get their rewards, and then it's, hey, if they do say they want to cancel, it's like, okay, we can cancel you, but just realize if you re-enroll, you're going to pay the $175 again, and it looks like you have $50 in your reward account. You're also going to lose those. Are you really sure you want to cancel? Let me explain to you the value of the preventive services. And there's got to be some education there, but it's more of a no-brainer for them to just be like, unless they really don't want to come back. But if they like you guys enough that they're going to be a little bit longer-term patient, it's not a better deal for them now to turn that off, because they've got to pay the enrollment again and they got to lose their rewards. And so just doing that is helpful. If they call, and most of the time we see that they don't cancel like right when they're in the practice because they've like, I know I need these services, So when they
Right.
call, let's say they call month 8 and they're like, hey, we want to turn this off. Okay, well, you can, but just so you know, you got $100 of rewards. You're going to lose those rewards. We also, there's a couple of silver fillings doctor really wanted to fix because you got these reasons. Like, why don't we get that scheduled? You're going to get 15% off. You can use your rewards and cancel after that. So you get them scheduled and get them back in there. Like, that's the key, right? You want, like, I do demos all the time. I just want at bats, basically. You want patients in the chair that don't have insurance so you can have opportunities to create relationships with them and their long-term patients that way. So they may cancel still, but that enrollment fee and those rewards are two things we found that make it more sticky than just a transactional, hey, I'm going to pay you $35. I want to get all my service. I'm going to bounce tomorrow. That's not a good model. That's not going to help them or you guys. But if you can make it sticky, they're going to stick better.
So and I love that. And I appreciate you. That's some really good coaching. And I think hopefully someone that listens, I think that right there answers a lot of questions just of like, well, how do we have this conversation? How do we deal with this? And, but to add to what you're saying, we also in our office, and again, this is just what we do. I'm not saying that everyone should do this, but based on our transient population, we have written in a clause in our contract that says if our contract is a year contract, and it says if you bail, there are some reasons why you can leave. If you move, that's one of them. But if you just like up and like your card gets denied and you've had all these services done, we say these services go back to full price. Like you do not get the discount anymore if because this is a year-long contract. You can't just come in, do a smash and grab in a month and get a bunch, get $10,000 worth of work done, get a discount and then bail. We'll go back and charge them full tilt. So there are some contingencies in place. And I love that, certainly the enrollment fee is a lot less scary for a patient but if they don't have ill intent, there's no fear in like any of that stuff, right? So if someone's like, no, I'm not going to do it, well, you probably just filtered out somebody that was going to bail on you anyway.
Yeah. And trying to really focus on preventive services as well. I mean, helping them understand we're trying to keep you healthy. We'll even give you $50 towards treatment when you use your cleaning. Like, come in and use it. And it's the reason I love the rewards is it's almost like saying, hey, the longer term you are a patient, the better deal you get. So if you just want to be a transactional guy, I don't want to set this plan up to where it works for you. Just pay for your services. I'm looking for long-term patients that want to come in, and I'll give you a better deal if you want to be a long-term guy. But if you're looking for that smash and grab, I'm I'm probably not your guy, you know. Or I mean, I'll do your work, and I'm happy to take care of you. And you can pay for it, but I'm not going to I'm not going to bend over backwards and give you the best deal possible. Paul, if you and your family want to come visit me and I'm your guy for 10 years, hey, let's get something going better. And I would expect a better deal too. Like, hey, no, look, I'm gonna be coming in. You're my guy. I'm not gonna shop you around. Like, take care of me, and I'm gonna be a good patient. That's how you want to try to set it up. And it does have to be different for everybody. I've got a lot of snowbirds in Arizona, and we do some different style plans. We do some plans where they get a cleaning once a year, and because they get their other cleaning, you know, in Canada or wherever they're going. And I mean, you can be as flexible as you want. There's no insurance kind of dictates this cleaning every 6 months. A lot of my pediatric offices have a 4 month cleaning frequency for kids. Most of the time we do a perio option every 3 or 4 months, you know, the deep clean, that's going to cost more. They get access to that as needed. So you can be as flexible for your area as needed. Make sure it fits your practice.
Yeah. I freaking love the idea of a rewards program. I think that's some genius in that, you know, that's something that will build I can tell you right now, that'll build loyalty. Because you're giving back. Like, you're like, that's anytime you belong to something that gives back to you. Like, I love my Chase card because I get points, right?
Oh,
I use it for everything. I'm like, boom, and then we
yeah.
just pay it off, you know, and because I love the points, you know what I mean? Now, if I don't pay it off, I get wrecked with insurance or with the interest rate, but
Yeah.
I make sure I pay it off. And so it becomes a moot point. So,
And a lot of our guys, like, something that works well is, all right, our base plan is $28 a month, $30 a month, $360 a year, whatever you want to do. You get $25 of rewards. But if you're a premier member, you know, it's $40 a month. You get these services like nitrous and panel 3D and some of those, which are very high profit margin, but you also get $100 of rewards back. And so it's real powerful because you're getting another, say, $180, $200 a year. You're giving most of that back, plus they get some ancillary services. But me and my wife and our kids, like, when you're on a plan and you all end up on different cleaning frequencies and you all have rewards, we're budgeting right now, but we get $500 basically every 6 months for care. So we get $1,000 a year, which, guess what? That's starting to sound very similar to the coupon you're talking about with insurance.
yeah,
And suddenly I've budgeted for work, but also, do you know how painful it is to try to move? If we move dentists, we're eating hundreds of dollars, if not $1,000 of rewards, future work for moving from that office. That's really painful. And so you can also think about, well, if you're offering 20% or 25% discount, what happens if you knock that down 5%, but goose up the rewards? It makes it so sticky. And there's a lot more perceived value in rewards than there is in discounts. Discounts, you tell me you're a real rich dentist that has high fees, and so you're able to come down 25%. Rewards mean you value me as a patient long-term, so you're giving me something that I can pay for things when I need to. And you can do things like, we double rewards on same-day treatment. So if you want to get that done today, instead of $100, it's going to be $200, but you just filled your slot. Or, hey, any cosmetic services over $4,000, we double rewards towards that. Well, all you're doing is giving a better discount on the profit margin that you've got on that service. But it sounds so much better of, hey, we really appreciate you. We'll actually double your rewards. Or, like, in Arizona, it's so hot in August. Maybe that's your double rewards month, and you call up all your members that have outstanding treatment and rewards, and you basically say, hey, you were in here 4 months ago. We diagnosed this treatment. If you want to get that scheduled in August, we'll double rewards towards that, because you're trying to fill your schedule, right? I mean, it gives you
yeah,
a different tool to use than just discounts.
totally. And again, if you roll that into now, you can roll that rewards into your marketing budget, you know, and again, and that's really important to me. Like, from as a, you know, as a dentist advisor or as a, a consultant, whatever you want, whatever the crap you want to call me. I try to be the anti-consultant, because I'm practicing dentist, right? So,
Yeah.
um, but that's something that I'm like, look, you've got to look at what the cost is to spend to get these patients into your office.
Yeah.
It's so much cheaper to retain them, so much cheaper than to retain them. So if they're like, oh, I can't afford to be giving these rewards or these discounts, I'm like, okay, then math and figure out how much it's costing you to bring a single patient into your office. All of a
Under
sudden,
300 bucks.
yeah, all of a sudden it seems paltry to be doing
Yeah.
these discounts and stuff. And so, you've
But
thrown around.
again, if you're discounting, if you're at 20% on your discount, you drop it to 15. I mean, you're giving them a discount in another way if you want to
Yeah,
look at it.
you're just restructuring it. Sure.
Restructuring it. Yeah.
Yep. So uh you're making me beg the question here. Um, is there a specific formula for how much to charge for your in-house plan? Is there something where I know we have one that we give to our members when they're structuring theirs? Do you guys have a specific formula that you recommend that they follow when figuring out? And I know that's kind of a tough question to ask because it really depends on the structure of the plan and overhead and all this other stuff. But
Wow.
is there a place they can go or someone they can talk to figure out that formula for themselves?
Yeah, so we actually have a pricing tool, and we're happy to share it with any of your. I can send it to you, and you can post it with this, or I don't know the best way to share that,
But
but
yeah, that'd be awesome.
it does vary depending. Are you a scratch start? Are you, cash only out of network office? Are you at capacity? Are you trying to get new patients in there? There's definitely variances. But what we typically do on our pricing tool is we think of it a little bit as if you're going to network with yourself. So the reason you're getting out of network is because of the reimbursements. And so too many people throw a dart at price because they're adjusting all the benefits to zero on their ledger. So patient comes in, gets an exam, cleaning x-rays. We have an adjustment code. We adjust them off to zero. Those services are free. And so it's like, well, guys, you don't even know. So it's kind of like
You're singing music to my ears right now, Paul. It's one of our can't commandments is thou shalt not adjust thy fees to match that of the dental reimbursement rates ever, because then you
yeah,
cannot track your data. So yeah, thank you
correct. So we
for ringing
on our
that bell.
pricing tool, we like to get the UCRs first for included benefits, exam, cleaning, x-rays. We like to look at average insurance reimbursements, and then basically think of setting up a fee schedule, or how much do you want to be paid when you do a cleaning? So how much is your hygienist? Well, she's 45 bucks an hour. Okay. Well, how much do you feel like you really need to make on a cleaning to make this worthwhile? Do you need $100? You need 150? You need 200? What is that? How much do you need to make on your exams? Like, do you have associate doctors? What's your provider pay look like? So just looking at what you need to make for services first, and then let that dictate the pricing. Now, if you say, well, I want to make 250 bucks for a cleaning and 150 bucks for an exam and $200 for x-rays, so your plan's 60 bucks a month, that's not profitable. You've got to it's got to be a better deal for the patient than your straight UCRs, but figure out what you want to make for services. And again, we have a cool little slider and like a tool that you can play around with and kind of figure it out. That'll tell you what you should charge annually and monthly, but focus on the profitability of what you want to make for services. Those numbers are what need to go into your practice management software so that you're not recording zeros on services. And that's what's going to, dictate your provider pay and your hygiene bonuses and all that kind of stuff. And then we actually have a really slick thing on our back end so you can match collection with production when services are used. So you don't have any write-offs, which is also a lot of people are accounting for this improperly, and they're blowing up their practices because they have crappy numbers. And so they don't even really realize, like, are you making money on your membership plan? Like, and how much? And are you making more than Delta? Like what? They don't even know because of how they've priced the plans and then how they're accounting for them on the back end in the practice management software.
Right. Yeah, that's a huge deal. And that's one of the reasons we preach what I was just talking about so heavily is that it doesn't matter if it's insurance, it doesn't matter if it's a patient benefit plan. You need to be able to track your write-offs to find out, okay, how profitable am I under this umbrella? And then if you're making it yourself, if you're creating your own benefit plan,
Yeah.
but we've seen it happen where they neuter themselves
Yeah.
because they're not accounting for, okay, I'm offering this discount, but maybe your fees suck. Maybe your fees are
Yeah, if you're in the
One of the
60th percentile, it's like, well, you should raise your
or
fees.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah. We've seen
yeah,
it. Okay, so this is like the worst case scenario. I'm gonna just give this quick scenario where we come. Let me just knock my whole computer over here. Um, we saw an office that their front office manager, whoever the heck it was, adjusted all the fees, including the cash patients, everybody adjusted them down to the reimbursement, the contracted reimbursement rates of the insurance. And I believe it was the lowest paying insurance. They didn't even bother to like, so they went to the lowest paying insurance company. So all the fees were dropped. So even though there was other insurance companies that would reimburse at a higher rate, they were actually charging less than that reimbursed rate. And then all the cash patients were paying not the normal fee that they would have, they would just adjust it down. So they were actually paying that. So all the cash patients were getting the discount as well. And then they said, oh, I think we're losing money on our discount plan. And we went and looked at it, and sure enough, like, yeah, you're losing money on it because you've adjusted all your fees down to this reimbursed contracted rate. And then you're giving a 15-20% discount on top of that. And
yeah,
so, yes, you are losing money on it because you've completely set it up wrong rather than saying, oh, okay, here's our UCNR for our office. We're going to live in the 80th, 90th percentile for our zip code, which again, at Elevation Association, we're happy to give to anyone want to call us. We can help you get those numbers. But rather than doing that and then looking at the adjustments for the patient benefit plan, for your insurance, and tracking the write-off to go, okay, how bad is this impacting us, the profitability? That was the worst case scenario that we've seen, but usually
yeah.
it's somewhere in the middle, right? So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a really important point. Um, Paul, I want you to talk about, just tell us what are some of the services that Dental Menu offers? Like, so what can it do for my practice? What can you guys bring to the table?
Yeah, so I mean, everything we do is white labeled, so it's branded for your practice. Patients are still paying you directly, so you're still selling your own plan. We're just in the background, tools to help you do things more efficiently. So we do the pricing module, we build a landing page, we build a brochure, we set up the practice management software, we set up our management software so everything's ready to go. We train your team, all that kind of stuff. And then our software will actually, if you think about what dental insurance does do, they package the services, then they charge the patients, they automate the premium charges, right? You're not worried about that. And then in theory, they keep the money and keep track of benefit usage. And then they're supposed to send a claim out, so that you get a payment, an EFT transfer with a payment and an explanation of payment so you can enter it in and all that. So our software actually it automates all the payments. There's a slick online sign up for patients and all that kind of stuff. And then the software keeps track of the benefit usage and benefit eligibilities. And it will integrate with most practice management softwares as well, but it'll help you with that accounting piece so that when services are rendered, you can match collection production as well. So you're keeping track of top line revenue, but you're keeping track of expenses, basically usage of benefits, so that you can see how profitable you are. And then obviously we're keeping track of that breakage. So if you own a practice, you're paying your practice essentially for those services, but there's excess money you pull out as a dividend as well. So it's a pretty slick software. If you guys want any help, we got a lot of add-ons, we got rewards, we got different ways. You're going to make more money than if you run it yourself, for sure. And you're going to make your team happier and accountable and have a good kind of standard operating procedure.
And where, if someone wants to learn more about this, where should they go, Paul?
Now just go to dentalmenu.com. They can email me too directly, paul@dentalmenu.com. Just how it's spelled, DENTALMENU. And I mean, if you want to email me, I'll send you that pricing tool. If you guys are on here, we're pretty open with our stuff. I'm happy to give you pointers. If you want to keep running it yourself, that's fine. Like, we'll give you some pointers. We'll give you some tools. We want everybody to be successful. But if you do want help, like provider pay, keeping that ledger straight, keeping track of stuff can be cumbersome, especially if you move into the monthly options. So if you guys want help with any of that stuff, that's essentially what we do.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to share or discuss? Any offerings that you guys have that you feel are paramount, or
I mean,
things that you really want
if you go
people
to
to know?
dentalmenu.com/education, there's a bunch of free modules on there. You don't even have to put your email address in. So if you guys want to go watch some modules, there's an accounting module on there. Like if your office manager is trying to figure out, there's a couple different ways to account for the revenue, go watch that module. It's very helpful. And then we have the pricing tool and some things like that. So just, I don't know, go check us out.
Awesome. Well, dude, this has been rad. Like, again, this is one of my favorite. We could talk for another hour easy. Like, this
Yeah.
is. We'll have you back, Paul, and we'll get into some of the uglier and nittier grittier parts of the direction the industry is going right now, and really why companies like yours are so important. And we would just, if you don't have a patient benefit plan or a patient membership plan in your office, I think you're unfortunately behind the curve, and you are, as we talk about marketing, speaking of marketing, if you want to have a special offering to your patients that other offices can't or aren't doing, get on board now, because this is something that's really cool. And the fact, just the rewards program alone, Paul, I think was super cool. And I love the dialogue, and just the format that this is offering, potential offices to come into and look, or maybe revamp what they currently have. So thank you for sharing all of this. It's been rad to have you on. And like I say, we'll bring you back.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks so much, Dan.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Cheers.